So I, female, 35, have been with my boyfriend Zach, male 37, for 6 years, and I just found out he's been cheating on me with his coworker, and somehow he's convinced himself that it's my fault. I'm honestly still in shock and my hands are shaking as I type this. Sorry if this is all over the place. I haven't slept much in the past few days. I work as a high school counselor, which I love, but it can be draining sometimes. I spend all day helping teenagers with their problems, and then come home and still try to be emotionally present. I've always been big on communication and honesty. It's part of my job to teach kids these skills, and I try to use them in my own relationships too. Zach and I met at my friend Tina's housewarming party 6 years ago. We hit it off right away, talking about indie bands nobody else had heard of. He was wearing a Neutral Milk Hotel shirt, and discovered we both loved hiking. He works in marketing for this company that does something with digital advertising campaigns. Things were really good for most of our relationship. Not perfect, obviously, but normal couple stuff. But about a year ago, I started bringing up marriage and kids, not in a pressury way, just, hey, where do you see us going? Shreddy convos. I'm 35, so that biological clock thing is unfortunately real, even though I hate that phrase so much. That's when things started to change. Zach started staying later at work, being on his phone more, just generally being distant. At first, I thought it was just work stress. His company was going through some restructuring, and he kept talking about this big client they were trying to land. So about 8 months ago, I suggested couples therapy, not because we were falling apart or anything, but because I wanted us to work on our communication before taking big next steps. I mean, my parents divorced when I was 12 because my dad cheated, ironically relevant now, and I always promised myself I'd do everything possible to build a strong foundation before marriage. I found Dr. Rivera, who has amazing reviews, and Zach reluctantly agreed to go. I was all in on this therapy thing. I took notes after every session, did all the homework, even asked if we could record some sessions to review at home. Dr. Rivera was fine with it as long as the recordings were just for us. Dr. Rivera actually commented multiple times on how engaged I was with the process. Side note, my sister Caroline, female 38, mentioned at Easter that Zach seemed checked out, but I defended him, said he was just stressed about work. I feel so stupid now. In our sessions, I would share our communication problems while Zach would be super vague, just saying he felt pressure without explaining. He'd always change the subject to work stress. I'd suggest ways to help, and Dr. Rivera would give us exercises. Zach kept checking his phone the whole time, which now makes my blood boil thinking about who he was probably texting. When I tried to schedule time for us to do the exercises, he'd just nod without looking up. Over the past few months, Zach started canceling therapy sessions last minute. Strangely, it was always when Dr. Rivera had mentioned we'd be discussing commitment issues or emotional intimacy in the next session. Red flag, I completely missed. Then yesterday happened. I was at home and my phone died while I was emailing a student's parents. Zach was in the shower, so I grabbed his laptop to finish the email. When I opened Chrome, a message notification popped up from someone named Chelsea. I don't know what made me click it, just a gut feeling, I guess. It opened a Facebook Messenger convo, and yeah, it was clearly an affair. Based on the messages I scrolled through, it's been going on for at least 3 months. There were messages about meeting up, inside jokes, intimate stuff I don't even want to repeat. Chelsea is apparently someone from his office. I literally felt like I was going to throw up. I just sat there staring at the screen until Zach got out of the shower. When he came out, I asked him who Chelsea was. His face changed completely. First, he looked panicked, then just annoyed. Instead of apologizing or denying it, he told me I've been emotionally neglecting, and he had to find connections somewhere else. He said I was cold and unavailable, and more interested in therapy exercises than actual intimacy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've been putting in all the effort while he's been sabotaging our relationship and therapy. He kept saying I forced him into therapy to control him, when he's the one who started pulling away after I brought up our future. He's now staying in our spare bedroom saying he needs space, while still somehow maintaining that this is all because of my emotional neglect. I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. Sorry this is so long. I'm just lost. The person I thought I knew for 6 years is suddenly a completely different person. How do you just flip reality upside down like that? Edit. Wow, wasn't expecting so many responses. To answer some common questions, no. I had no idea about the affair before finding these messages. We've lived together for 4 years in a rented apartment. And no, the irony of me being a counselor who didn't see this coming is not lost on me. You can't counsel yourself, I guess. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking if there were signs I missed. Looking back, maybe. He started being weird about his phone about 4 months ago. Always face down, taking it to the bathroom, that kind of thing. But honestly, I trusted him, so I didn't think anything of it. And yes, now I'm wondering if the canceled therapy sessions lined up with times he was meeting her. Going to check my calendar. Edit 3. Several people have pointed out that this sounds like he's trying to blame me, and yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. I help students recognize manipulation in their relationships all day long, but somehow couldn't see it in my own. The shame I feel right now is overwhelming. Now for the first update. So it's been a week since I found out about the affair, and I feel like I'm going insane. So after I confronted Zach about the messages, he's been staying in our spare bedroom claiming he needs space while still maintaining that this is all because of my emotional neglect. Like, I'm the one who found out you were cheating and somehow I'm giving you space. Make it make sense. The first couple days were just a blur. I barely slept, barely ate, just kind of existed in this weird fog of confusion and hurt. I started questioning myself, which I hate, wondering if maybe I really had been emotionally unavailable without realizing it. I mean, I'm a counselor for God's sake. Shouldn't I have noticed if my partner was struggling so much? But then I remembered all the times I literally begged him to open up in therapy while he just sat there scrolling through his phone. Speaking of therapy, I decided to listen to some of our recorded sessions. Dr. Rivera let us record them for our personal use to review at home. And wow, just wow. There's this one session from about 2 months ago where Dr. Rivera asks Zach why he hasn't completed any of the communication exercises for 3 weeks straight. His response was that work was crazy and he barely had time to sleep. Meanwhile, I had done every single exercise, sometimes twice, and was constantly trying to schedule time for us to work on them together. I didn't even tell my friends about what's happening with Zach at first because I felt so stupid. Like, I literally counsel teens about healthy relationships every day and somehow missed that my own was falling apart. But that's not even true. I didn't miss it. That's why I suggested therapy in the first place. So anyway, a couple days ago, I was trying to distract myself by organizing our shared cloud storage. Yes, I organize digital files when stressed, don't judge me. And that's when I found them. Photos. Lots of photos of Zach and Chelsea together that he apparently thought he'd hidden in some buried folder. There were pictures of them at a cabin in the mountains from a weekend in February when he told me he was at a marketing conference in Denver. And guess what? That was the same weekend he canceled our therapy session because he supposedly couldn't get away from the conference. There were other weekend trips too, all conveniently lined up with canceled therapy appointments. I was so angry I could barely breathe. But then my investigative side kicked in. My sister always jokes I missed my calling as a detective. Our tablet syncs with Zach's phone for some apps, including his text messages. I've never gone through his texts before. That was always a boundary I respected. But at this point, all bets were off. What I found made me throw up. I'm not exaggerating. I had to run to the bathroom halfway through reading. Zach has been telling Chelsea that I'm cold and uninterested in intimacy, that I forced him into therapy as a step toward breaking up, that we're essentially separated and only living together for financial reasons. He told her I'm emotionally manipulative and that I use my counseling background to mess with his head. I can't even type this without shaking all over again. After I collected myself and printed out some of these conversations as evidence, because at this point I was questioning my own sanity, I confronted him. I asked him to explain the messages to Chelsea. He tried to grab the papers and asked why I was going through his private conversations. When I asked why he told Chelsea we're essentially separated, he said he was just simplifying a complicated situation. When I pointed out he told her I refuse intimacy and force him into therapy, he said I was taking things out of context. When I asked if he was canceling therapy to be with her, he accused me of obsessing over therapy instead of our actual relationship. I reminded him the therapy was for our relationship, and he stormed out saying he couldn't talk to me when I was like this. Like what? When I'm like, what exactly? catching you in multiple lies. I feel like I'm living in some place where everything is upside down. After that conversation, I reached out to Dr. Rivera for an emergency individual session. I needed someone objective to tell me if I was missing something. She was super professional and wouldn't trash talk Zach, which I respect, but she did validate that I've been consistently engaged in the therapy process, while Zach has shown resistance patterns typical of someone avoiding authentic emotional connection. She said she couldn't comment specifically on the affair, but that in her experience, infidelity usually reflects issues with the person who cheated, not their partner. That helped a little. Oh, and here's another fun discovery. We've been saving for a house down payment for 2 years. I've contributed more from my counselor salary than he has from his fancy marketing job because he always claimed to have unexpected expenses. Well, guess what those expenses were? Chelsea. I found credit card statements showing he spent almost $2,000 on weekend getaways, jewelry, and fancy dinners with her over the past 3 months. Money that was supposed to be going toward our future. I've started keeping a digital folder with all the evidence. Therapy recordings, my session notes, text exchanges showing all the times I tried to plan quality time that he canceled, email chains with Dr. Rivera about homework assignments. At first, I was just doing this to validate my own reality because his lies were making me question everything. But now, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I looked up Chelsea on social media. I know. Part of me is furious with her. Like, you couldn't verify his story before sleeping with someone's committed partner of 6 years. But another part of me wonders if she's just another victim of his manipulation. I don't know. Then last night, I overheard Zach on the phone in the spare bedroom. Our walls are thin. He was telling Chelsea I'm losing it and violating his privacy by fabricating evidence against him. Fabricating. These are his actual messages. But it's becoming clear he's going to paint me as the crazy, controlling girlfriend to anyone who will listen. I just don't know what to do now. Stay in the apartment we share while he sleeps in the spare room spreading lies about me. Move out. Tell all our friends the truth. I feel like I'm drowning. Edit. Thanks for all the supportive messages. To clarify for those asking, yes, we're both on the lease, which runs for another 5 months. And no, the savings account isn't joint. We each have our own accounts where we save for the house, so at least he hasn't stolen my money. Edit 2. Several people have asked if I've told our friends what's happening. Not really. I've only told my sister Caroline so far. I'm worried about people feeling they have to choose sides. I hate confrontation. Ironic for someone currently in the middle of a giant relationship explosion. Edit 3. For those suggesting I should just email Chelsea directly with evidence, I've thought about it, but I'm concerned about coming across as the crazy ex he's painting me as. Edit 4. To address what many are saying, yes, I've frozen my credit cards and am checking my credit report. And yes, I'm documenting everything now. I didn't think Zach would stoop this low. But I didn't think he'd cheat while actively in couples therapy either. So apparently I don't know him at all. Edit 5. Someone asked how Zach is acting day to day in the apartment. Mostly avoiding me, leaving early for work, coming home late. When we do cross paths, he's coldly polite in this really unsettling way. Like he'll ask, "Did you take the trash out?" As if we're just roommates with no history and no giant relationship-ending issue between us. It's honestly creepy. Now for the second update. So it's been about 2 weeks since I found out about Zach's affair with Chelsea, and somehow things have gotten even worse. Didn't think that was possible, but here we are. Thank you to everyone who commented on my last post with advice and support. I'm sorry I disappeared for a bit, but everything has been completely overwhelming. Zach moved most of his stuff to his friend Mark's place last week, but he keeps coming back to our apartment to get things he forgot at random times. I'm pretty sure he's actually just checking up on me and going through my stuff because things are definitely not where I left them. The worst part isn't even that though. I've started noticing that our mutual friends are acting super weird around me. Like, I got a text from my friend Jenna asking if I was doing okay mentally and if I needed someone to talk to about getting help. Another friend, Taylor, called to check if I was handling the breakup in a healthy way. At first I was confused, but then I realized Zach has been telling people I'm having some kind of breakdown. I got confirmation when I ran into our friend Ronald at the coffee shop near my apartment on Tuesday. I was just trying to get a latte before work, and suddenly Ronald was there looking uncomfortable. He gave me this weird side hug and was talking to me in this super gentle voice like I might explode any second. When I asked him why he was acting weird, he got flustered and told me Zach had mentioned I was going through some things and struggling with boundaries and having a hard time accepting that relationships sometimes end. He said they were all there for me. I couldn't even respond for a minute. Zach is telling everyone I'm the one with boundary issues while he's the one who cheated, and making it sound like he broke up with me because of my issues. What kills me about this is that in my actual job as a counselor, I've seen how much damage false stories can do to someone's mental health. We teach kids that letting lies continue can really hurt people, and now it's happening to me. I tell my students that the truth helps heal from any kind of hurt, but here I am, stuck between wanting to keep private things private and needing to fix these harmful lies Zach is spreading. It feels so unfair that I have to choose between looking like the crazy ex who's airing dirty laundry or just sitting back while he ruins my reputation. After the Ronald incident, I called my sister Caroline and finally told her everything. I've been holding back some details because, I don't know, shame, but I laid it all out. The affair, the lies, the manipulation, everything. Caroline was furious, like I had to talk her down from driving to Zach's workplace to confront him. She lives 2 hours away. She immediately said I should expose his ass to everyone, but I'm not sure that's the right move. I don't want to look vindictive, even though I'm so angry. And can I just say, Caroline reminded me she never fully trusted Zach. She apparently caught him flirting with my cousin's friend Allie at Thanksgiving 3 years ago. I completely dismissed it at the time because I thought Caroline was just being overprotective. Now I'm wondering what else I missed. Then yesterday, I was scrolling through Instagram, bad idea, and saw that Chelsea posted a photo at this fancy restaurant downtown with Zach, with heart emojis. They're fully public now, I guess. And what really hurt was seeing comments from people we both know. Like our friend David wrote, "You guys look great together," which means he's known about this for a while. The betrayal just keeps expanding and I feel so isolated. Later yesterday, Zach called about picking up more of his things. He told me he needed his winter clothes and kitchen stuff and would be by around 6. When I asked if he was officially moving out or just staying at Mark's temporarily, he was super vague and said he just needed time to think. When I asked about Chelsea, he got defensive and asked why I was so obsessed with her. He said he didn't owe me explanations about his private life anymore, even though we're still on a lease together with shared finances and were together for 6 years until 2 weeks ago, when I found out he'd been lying for months. Then he just hung up on me like we were discussing something totally unimportant. The absolute last straw was getting a text from Chelsea last night that said, "Zach told me you've been harassing his friends about me. Please stop and get help." I saw, read. I haven't contacted a single friend about her. I've barely talked to anyone about this whole situation. Zach is just creating more lies to make me look unstable and obsessive. I sat there staring at my laptop where I've been keeping all my evidence, therapy records, text exchanges, my session notes, everything that shows what actually happened with Zach. And I just lost it. I texted my friend Lisa, who's in law school, to ask about the legality of sharing therapy recordings. She said since Dr. Rivera gave us permission to record for personal use, and I'd only be sharing with someone directly involved in the situation, it was probably a gray area, but not clearly illegal. She said my own notes were definitely mine to share. So I had a glass of wine, then another, and I finally composed an email to Chelsea with the subject line, "The truth about Zach and me." I attached the digital folder with everything. The therapy recordings where Zach admits to canceling sessions to avoid discussing commitment, my session notes showing how I tried everything to make it work, text exchanges where I planned quality time that he canceled last minute, evidence of his neglected homework assignments from therapy. All of it. I wrote, "You deserve to know who you're really involved with. I'm not the villain in this story. Listen to the third recording first." After I hit send, I felt weirdly empty, like relieved but also guilty and exhausted all at once. I took a sleeping pill, which I never do, and turned off my phone completely. When I woke up this morning, I turned my phone back on and it practically exploded with notifications. 22 missed calls, 8 from Zach, getting progressively angrier based on the voicemails, 6 from Chelsea, starting with her calling me psycho but ending with her apologizing and sounding shocked. 5 from different friends that Zach had apparently called to complain about my violation. 3 from Caroline checking if I was okay because Zach called her ranting about me. I finally answered when Chelsea called again. She asked if the therapy recordings were real, and I confirmed they were made with Dr. Rivera's permission. Chelsea told me Zach had claimed I refused couples therapy entirely, when actually we'd been going for 8 months at my suggestion. She said their relationship started 3 months ago, after Zach told her we were essentially separated and just living together for money reasons. That was exactly when I thought we were finally making progress in therapy. She apologized and seemed shocked by all of Zach's lies. Then Zach called. He was furious and yelled that I destroyed his life and violated his privacy. I stayed calm and just said I shared my reality, which he had been twisting. He threatened legal action, which I know is BS since I only shared information about my own experiences and recordings we were allowed to make. The fallout has been wild. Several friends have reached out after hearing both sides, many apologizing for believing Zach. Dr. Rivera called with concerns about sharing the recordings, but understood I'd only shared personal notes and approved recordings. Chelsea apparently ended things with Zach after confronting him. Even though it feels good to have the truth come out, I still feel totally broken by this whole experience. I'm looking for a new apartment. I've frozen our joint savings account with notification to Zach, and I'm just trying to trust myself again after months of Zach making me doubt myself. Some friends have taken Zach's side, believing his claims that I maliciously violated his privacy. Our social circle is basically divided now. Sometimes I question whether sending the therapy materials was the right thing to do, but I don't regret refusing to be cast as the villain in Zach's false narrative. I don't know what comes next, but for the first time in months, I feel like I'm standing in my truth instead of doubting myself because of someone else's lies. Edit. A lot of people are asking why I didn't just tell friends the truth from the beginning instead of letting Zach control the narrative. Honestly, shame. I felt like such an idiot for not seeing the signs. Plus, I really thought, naively, that he wouldn't stoop so low as to actually lie about me to everyone we know. Edit 2. To the person who asked if I'm worried about professional consequences, yes, a little. But I only shared recordings that were made with permission for our personal use, and only with someone directly involved in the situation. I didn't blast them on social media or anything. Dr. Rivera was concerned but understanding given the circumstances. Edit 3. No, I haven't reached out to Chelsea again after our phone call. Several people suggested I should meet with her in person, but I honestly don't think I can handle seeing her face to face right now. Maybe someday, but not yet. Edit 4. To everyone saying I should have just broken up with him after finding the messages the first time, you're probably right. But after 6 years together, it's not that simple. I thought maybe there was some explanation or we could work through it. I see now how naive that was. Edit 5. Thanks for the support about the financial stuff. Yes, I've already contacted our landlord about breaking the lease early, explained the situation, and he seems sympathetic. And yes, I've changed all my passwords, even ones I don't think Zach knew.